Hi there. Thanks for clicking in. I want to share just a few follow-up thoughts connected to my message last Sunday, in which I addressed God's new thing that He's doing at North County Community Church, and I shared much about the 5-year quest on the part of the church leadership in seeking the Lord's will and guidance and provision for the next step in leadership for North County Community Church. And we talked about a lot of principles of God's guidance, closed doors, open doors, the zigzag line, the unseen hand of God, and all these things. But one concept I did not really develop was that of patience, the need to have patience. When you and I are going through that process, when you're experiencing something in your life that you are seeking the Lord's guidance on or seeking His provision, He doesn't always, even often, operate on our time schedule. He has His own methods and own ways, and He may be in your mind and in my mind very slow in working. And so we need to have patience. Faith and patience go hand in hand. They're both fruits of the Spirit, and faith can afford to be patient, because if I'm trusting God, even though I can't see what He's doing and He doesn't seem to be moving, if I have faith in Him, then I know that He's there, He's alive, He's really there and listening, and He's doing something. And so I can, if I have faith, relax and trust in that unseen hand of God, whether or not I can see things unfolding in my circumstances. So I want to encourage you, because I am sure that many of you, maybe every one of you, and all of us, are going through things that require patience. We're seeking God's guidance, we're seeking His provision or His direction or His solution to something that we're facing. And so when we are in that process, we really need to exercise the spirit, the fruit of the Spirit, which is patience. Someone sent me a email after the message and said that they really related to the message on Sunday. Relates to some things that they're going through, their families going through, some difficult times and times of transition. And she sent me a music video that I'm going to share with you at the end of my little talk here. And she said that I pray every day for patience. That's one of the things she shared. Hebrews 6:12 speaks of these times when we're going through a struggle, a weight, and it says, don't be sluggish or don't be lazy, but be followers of those who through faith and patience inherit the promise. So God, we're to be the example or follow the example of many figures in the Bible. Hebrews gives us many Old Testament figures of who illustrating how they, through faith and patience, inherited the promises of God. Galatians 6:9 says that when we're going through a difficult time of waiting and seeking the Lord and His guidance and His provision, he says, don't lose heart. Let us not lose heart. Well, that means lose heart. That means don't become discouraged. And if you do get discouraged, renew your faith in the Lord. There will be those times of ups and downs, or maybe you do get discouraged, but you need to battle that and renew your faith. So he says in Galatians 6:9, let us not lose heart, for in due time we will reap if we do not faint. In due time. That means in God's due time, not necessarily what we think is due time, but in the right time, in the appropriate time, we will see God's hand at work. Abraham is considered the father of faith. He's called the father of all those who believe. And all you got to do is look at his life. How did God deal with him? So he's the example. He's the paradigm for all of us who trust in God and in Christ. And he was 75 years old when God promised that he would have a son, and that out of his son God would make a great nation, the nation of Israel. Abraham was 75 years old. Sarah was 65 years old. So if they had had their son, their promised son Isaac, within 9 months later, that would have been a pretty good miracle right there, because they were beyond the years of childbearing. But beyond that, God did not provide that son right away. He caused them to have to wait for 25 long years. And you read the story of Abraham in Genesis, you'll see his struggle, waiting for God to fulfill his promise, waiting for 25 years. Sometimes Abraham did pretty well. Sometimes he fell flat on his face, just like you and me. And in that anxiety and that nervousness and in his doubt, he did the white knuckle thing that we like to do. He grabbed onto the situation with a white knuckle grip and tried to take control and manipulate circumstances, and he tried to fulfill God's promise. He himself tried to fulfill God's promise in his own way. And that just led to problems, as it always does for us as well. But God waited, and then when Abraham was like 100 years old, his wife Sarah had the miracle child, Isaac. And God did fulfill his promise, but it was in his own good time. And so through that process, it wasn't just, God wasn't doing that with Abraham just to be mean to him. He was teaching him, he was deepening his character, deepening his faith and his trust, and causing him to realize that he, the living God, is capable of doing anything, and that his promises are true. And so Abraham grew in faith and patience, and I believe he exercised the greatest act of faith in the Bible next to Christ going to the cross. And that was when he offered up his son Isaac, knowing that one way or another, God had given him this miracle son, and that God would protect Isaac or do whatever he needed to do, but that God is always faithful. So Abraham had to learn faith and patience through his delay and his long experience there. How about you? You and I need to be developing faith and patience with the Lord. When my little talk video ends here, very quickly, the song video that I want you to see that this friend sent me the link. It's very pertinent, and it should come up. If it doesn't come up right away, then click the link that's included with the post for this video. But the person that sent it to me referred to 3 different lyrics in this song that she thought were especially pertinent, and I want to share them with you, and maybe you'll catch them in the song. One was the line, "Remind me there's meaning in the waiting." Lord, remind me that there's meaning in the waiting. There's a purpose for it. The other is, help me be patient. Lord, help me be patient. And the final one is, it's at the bottom where you teach me how to climb. It's at the bottom of my experience. It's in the valley where you teach me how to climb. Enjoy the song, and I'll see you soon.